holiday party was at the Fairmont downtown. Open bar, catered food, a DJ playing top 40 hits that nobody over 30 recognized. I'd been working at Sterling Analytics for 3 years, worked my way up from junior analyst to senior analyst, earned every promotion through late nights and flawless reports. I was 29 years old, making $72,000 a year, and on track for a management position by next quarter. Life was good. Marcus Webb was my boss, director of data analysis. 43 years old, married with 2 kids whose photos sat on his desk facing outward so everyone could see what a family man he was. He'd always been professional with me. Distant, even. Which was fine. I didn't need a buddy. I needed a boss who'd recognize good work and get out of my way. The party started at 7 p.m. on a Friday in December. I wore a black dress, nothing fancy, drank 1 glass of wine, made small talk with coworkers. By 9:30, I was ready to leave. That's when Marcus appeared next to me at the bar. He'd been drinking. I could smell it. Whiskey, probably. His tie was loosened and his face was flushed. He said, "You look amazing tonight, Jennifer." I said thanks and tried to move away. He put his hand on my lower back. Said, "We should get out of here. Go somewhere quieter. Talk about your future at the company." I stepped away from his hand. Said, "I'm actually heading home." He moved closer. Said, "Come on, 1 drink. Just you and me. We could discuss that promotion you want." I looked him in the eye and said, "No thank you, Marcus. I'm not interested." His expression changed. The friendly smile disappeared. He said, "You sure about that?" I said yes, turned around, left the party, drove home with my hands shaking on the steering wheel. I told myself it would be fine. He'd been drunk. Maybe he wouldn't even remember. I'd keep my head down, do good work. And this would blow over. I had no idea what was coming. Monday morning, I walked into the office at 8 a.m. like always. Swiped my badge, took the elevator to the 3rd floor where the analysis department was located. Walked to my desk. My computer was gone. My files were gone. My nameplate was gone. There was a post-it note stuck to the empty desk that said, "See me immediately, Marcus." My stomach dropped. I walked to Marcus's office. The door was open. He was sitting behind his desk, looking at his phone. I knocked. He looked up and smiled. That same smile from the party. He said, "Jennifer, come in. Close the door." I did. He said, "We need to discuss your new assignment." I said, "New assignment?" He nodded. Said, "I've been reviewing performance metrics, and I think you'd be better suited to a different role. Something more aligned with your skill set." I asked what role. He slid a piece of paper across his desk. It was a work order. Facilities maintenance. My new job title was Environmental Services Specialist. My new responsibilities included cleaning executive bathrooms, restocking supplies, and maintaining the cleanliness of the top floor offices. My new salary was $32,000 a year. Less than half what I'd been making. I stared at the paper. Said, "You're assigning me to janitorial work?" He said, "It's an important role. Someone has to do it. And frankly, your recent performance hasn't met expectations." I said, "My performance? I just got rated exceeds expectations on my last review, 2 months ago. You gave me that rating." He leaned back in his chair, said, "Well, things change. You can accept this new position or you can resign. Those are your options." I felt my face go hot. My hands clenched into fists. I wanted to scream, to throw something, to tell him exactly what I thought of him and his fake family man persona, and his pathetic attempt to punish me for rejecting him, but I didn't. Because I needed this job. I had rent, student loans, car payments. I couldn't afford to quit, and if I got fired, I'd have no unemployment, no references, nothing. So I said, "I'll take the new position." He smiled. Said, "Great. Report to facilities on the 5th floor. They'll give you your supplies. You start today." I walked out of his office and took the elevator to the 5th floor bathroom and locked myself in a stall and cried for 10 minutes. Then I dried my eyes, washed my face, and made a decision. If Marcus thought humiliation would make me quit, he was wrong. I was going to document every single thing that happened, every degrading task, every email, every interaction. I was going to build a case so airtight that when I finally reported him, there'd be no way for the company to ignore it. I went to facilities, got issued a cart with cleaning supplies, rubber gloves, a mop, industrial cleaner that smelled like bleach and made my eyes water. Got assigned the executive bathrooms on the top floor, the same floor where the C-suite worked, the CEO, CFO, COO, all the people who made 7 figures while I was about to scrub their toilets for $32,000 a year. My first day, I cleaned 4 bathrooms, scrubbed toilets, wiped down sinks, mopped floors, restocked paper towels and soap. My knees hurt. My back hurt. The chemical smell gave me a headache. At lunch, I sat in my car and ate a sandwich and wondered how the hell I'd ended up here. 3 years of exemplary work, a college degree, certifications in data analysis, and I was cleaning toilets because I'd told my boss no at a Christmas party. That night, I started documenting. I made a timeline, wrote down everything that happened at the party, everything Marcus said in his office. I took photos of the work order reassigning me. I logged into my work email from home and downloaded every performance review I'd ever received, every piece of positive feedback, every project completion report. I had 3 years of documentation showing I was an excellent employee, and now I had proof that Marcus had reassigned me to janitorial work the Monday after I rejected his advances. Day 2. I was cleaning the executive bathroom on the top floor when I heard voices outside. 2 women talking. I recognized one voice. Sarah Chen. She'd worked in marketing until about 6 months ago. Then she'd quit suddenly. No announcement. No goodbye email. Just gone. I heard her say, "I'm telling you, he did the same thing to me. Made a pass at the company retreat." I said no. 2 weeks later, I was demoted to receptionist. I quit after a month because I couldn't take it. I froze. Listened. The other woman said, "He tried it with me too, last year. I turned him down and suddenly my projects were all getting reassigned. My reviews went from great to terrible. I filed a complaint with HR and they said there wasn't enough evidence. I left 3 months later. Sarah said, "How many women do you think he's done this to?" The other woman said, "I don't know, but I'd bet we're not the only ones." They walked away. I stood there in that bathroom holding a toilet brush and realized this wasn't just about me. Marcus had a pattern. He'd been doing this for years, using his position to proposition women and then punishing them professionally when they refused. And the company either didn't know or didn't care. I needed to find those women. I needed to talk to them. But first, I needed to keep documenting my own case, make it bulletproof. Over the next 3 months, I kept detailed records. Every task Marcus assigned me. He'd email me directly, which was a gift because it created a paper trail. He'd send messages like, "The CEO's bathroom needs attention. Make sure it's spotless." Or, I noticed fingerprints on the glass in the conference room. Take care of it immediately. Tasks that had nothing to do with facilities maintenance and everything to do with humiliation. Making me serve the executives whose offices I used to work in. Making me clean up after meetings I used to attend. I saved every email, took screenshots, created folders organized by date. I documented every interaction where Marcus would see me in the hallway and make comments. He'd say things like, "How's the new job working out?" Or, "I hope you're learning the value of humility," always with that smile. Always with other people around, so it seemed friendly. But I knew what it was. It was him reminding me that he had power and I didn't. I also started doing research. I looked up employment law, learned about hostile work environment, retaliation, quid pro quo harassment. I read case studies, figured out what kind of evidence I'd need to prove my case, and I realized I needed more than just my own story. I needed to show a pattern of behavior. I reached out to Sarah Chen through LinkedIn, said I'd overheard her conversation in the bathroom and asked if she'd be willing to talk. She was hesitant at first, said she'd moved on and didn't want to rehash everything. I told her I understood, but that Marcus was still doing it, still targeting women, still getting away with it. She agreed to meet me for coffee. We met on a Saturday morning at a Starbucks 20 minutes from the office. Sarah looked tired. She'd left Sterling Analytics 6 months ago, and was now working at a smaller firm making less money. She told me her story. Marcus had approached her at a company retreat, suggested they have drinks in his hotel room. She'd declined. Within 2 weeks, she was demoted from senior marketing manager to receptionist. Her projects were reassigned. Her access to important meetings was revoked. When she complained to HR, they investigated but concluded there wasn't sufficient evidence of wrongdoing. They suggested she consider whether she was a good cultural fit for the team. She quit a month later because she couldn't afford to sue and couldn't stand being there anymore. I asked if she knew of other women. She said yes, 3 others that she knew of. She gave me their names: Rebecca Walsh, Amanda Torres, Kristen Meyer. All had left the company within the past 3 years. All had left suddenly after working with Marcus. Sarah said she'd stayed in touch with them, and they'd all had similar experiences. Inappropriate advances followed by professional retaliation. I spent the next month tracking down those women. Rebecca had moved to Portland. Amanda was working at a tech startup in San Francisco. Kristen had left the industry entirely and was teaching at a community college. I reached out to each of them, explained what was happening to me, asked if they'd be willing to share their stories. All 3 agreed to talk. Rebecca's story was from 3 years ago. Marcus had invited her to dinner under the pretense of discussing a client project. At dinner, he told her she was attractive and that he could help her career if she was willing to be flexible. She'd ended the dinner early. The next week, her performance review was suddenly filled with criticisms that didn't match her actual work. She was put on a performance improvement plan. She quit before they could fire her. Amanda's story was similar. Marcus had made comments about her appearance for months. Then he'd suggested they take a business trip together, just the 2 of them, to meet with a client. When she said she'd prefer to bring another team member, he got angry. Her next project was reassigned. Her budget was cut. She was excluded from key meetings. She filed a complaint with HR. They said they'd investigate, but nothing ever came of it. She left 4 months later. Kristen's story was the worst. Marcus had explicitly propositioned her, told her he was attracted to her and wanted to start an affair. She'd refused and reported him to HR immediately. HR had questioned him. He'd denied everything. Said Kristen was making it up because she was upset about a negative performance review. Kristen had been put on administrative leave pending investigation. The investigation concluded there wasn't enough evidence to support her claims. She was allowed to return to work, but the hostile environment was unbearable. She quit 2 weeks later. 4 women. 4 nearly identical stories. All targeted by Marcus Webb. All professionally destroyed when they refused him. And the company had done nothing. In some cases, they'd actively protected him. I now had 5 cases, including my own. I had documentation, witness statements, a clear pattern spanning 3 years. It was time to act. But I couldn't just go to HR. They'd already failed 4 women. I needed to go higher. I needed to get this information to someone who'd actually do something about it. The CEO of Sterling Analytics was Michael Patterson. He'd founded the company 15 years ago and was known for being hands-on, accessible, ethical. At least that's what the company website said. I'd never met him personally. He worked on the top floor in an office I now cleaned every Tuesday and Thursday. I'd seen him in passing. He seemed decent. But would he believe me? Would he care? I decided to send everything anonymously first. Give him a chance to act without forcing me to expose myself. If he did nothing, then I'd go public. I'd hire a lawyer. I'd file with the EEOC. I'd do whatever it took. I spent a weekend compiling everything into a single document. 53 pages. My timeline. My evidence. My emails and performance reviews. Testimonies from Sarah, Rebecca, Amanda, and Kristen. Screenshots. Photos. A clear narrative showing that Marcus Webb had spent 3 years sexually harassing female employees and retaliating against them when they refused him, and showing that HR had repeatedly failed to address complaints. I printed 2 copies, put one in a safe deposit box at my bank, put the other in a large manila envelope addressed to Michael Patterson, marked confidential, drove to the office on a Sunday when I knew it would be empty, took the elevator to the top floor, walked to the CEO's office, slid the envelope under his door, drove home with my heart hammering in my chest. Then I waited. Monday came and went. Tuesday, Wednesday. No response. No acknowledgement. I started to think maybe he hadn't seen it, or maybe he had seen it and decided to ignore it. Maybe I'd put myself at risk for nothing. Thursday morning, I was cleaning the bathroom on the top floor when my phone rang. Unknown number. I almost didn't answer, but something made me pick up. A woman's voice said, "Is this Jennifer Morrison?" I said yes. She said, "This is Ellen Baker. I'm the Chief Legal Officer at Sterling Analytics. The CEO would like to meet with you today at 3 p.m. Please come to his office." My hands started shaking. This was it. Either I was about to get fired or something was actually going to happen. I said I'd be there, spent the next 4 hours terrified. At 2:45, I went to the bathroom, washed my hands, tried to make myself look presentable, took the elevator to the top floor, walked into the CEO's office at exactly 3 p.m. Michael Patterson was there. So was Ellen Baker. So was the head of HR, Thomas Reed. They gestured for me to sit. Michael said, "Thank you for coming, Jennifer. We received your package. We've spent the past 3 days reviewing everything. I need you to know that we take these allegations extremely seriously." I didn't say anything. Just waited. He said, "We've launched a full internal investigation. We've interviewed the women you mentioned. We've reviewed all the documentation you provided. And I want to apologize personally. What happened to you and the others should never have happened. It's unacceptable, and it's a failure on our part." Ellen spoke next. She said, "Marcus Webb has been placed on administrative leave as of this morning. He's been escorted from the building and his access has been revoked. We're conducting a comprehensive investigation, and based on what we've seen so far, his employment will be terminated. Additionally, we're reviewing our HR processes to understand how multiple complaints were mishandled." Thomas looked uncomfortable. Michael said, "We'd like to offer you your previous position back. Senior analyst, full back pay for the time you spent in facilities, and we'd like to discuss additional compensation for what you've been through." I felt tears building up, but I refused to cry. I said, "What about the other women?" Ellen said, "We're reaching out to all of them. We want to make this right. Offer settlements, provide references, whatever they need." I said, "And what about accountability? How do I know this won't happen again?" Michael said, "We're implementing new policies, mandatory harassment training for all managers, an anonymous reporting hotline, third-party oversight of HR investigations, and we're committed to transparency. If you and the others are willing, we'd like to participate in restorative justice processes." I asked for time to think. They said of course. Gave me their direct contact information. Said I could reach out any time. I left that office and sat in my car and called Sarah Chen. Told her everything. She started crying. Said she'd gotten a call too. So had Rebecca and Amanda and Kristen. The company was reaching out to all of them, offering settlements, offering to make things right. We decided to hire a lawyer together. Found an employment attorney who specialized in harassment and retaliation cases. She reviewed everything. Said we had an incredibly strong case. Said the company knew it and was trying to settle before we filed a lawsuit. She advised us on fair settlement amounts. Negotiated on our behalf. 2 months later, Sterling Analytics settled with all 5 of us. The amounts varied based on circumstances and damages. I received $175,000. Sarah received $200,000. Rebecca, Amanda, and Kristen each received amounts ranging from $150,000 to $225,000. But more importantly, Marcus Webb was fired, not allowed to resign, fired for cause. His termination was announced company-wide. The announcement didn't detail why, but everyone knew. Word spread, people talked, and when we decided to go public with our story, the company didn't try to stop us. We gave interviews to local news, talked about what happened, and how we fought back. The story went regional, then national. Other companies started reviewing their own harassment policies. Other women started coming forward about their experiences. Marcus tried to get another job in the industry. Couldn't. His reputation was destroyed. Last I heard, he'd left Seattle entirely. Moved to some small town in Idaho. I don't know what he's doing now. Don't care. He's not my problem anymore. Sterling Analytics offered me Marcus's old position, Director of Data Analysis. I accepted. $95,000 salary, a team of 12 people, an office with windows. I've been in the role for 8 months now. I'm good at it. Really good. I run my department differently than Marcus did. I value people, create a safe environment, make sure everyone knows they can speak up if something's wrong. Sarah came back to Sterling too. Different department, senior role, good salary. We have lunch every week, talk about work and life and how surreal it is that we went from being victims to being the ones making changes. Rebecca stayed in Portland, but consults for Sterling remotely. Amanda is thriving at her startup. Kristen is still teaching and says she's happier than she's been in years. People ask me sometimes if it was worth it. The 3 months of scrubbing toilets, the fear, the stress, the risk of reporting. And here's what I tell them. Hell yes, it was worth it. Because I didn't just get justice for myself. I got justice for 4 other women who'd been silenced. I exposed a predator who'd been protected for years. I forced a company to examine its failures and change its practices. And I proved that fighting back is possible. That manila envelope I slid under Michael Patterson's door changed everything. Not just for me, but for every woman who comes after me. Because now they know the company will listen. Now they know documentation matters. Now they know that even when you're cleaning toilets, even when you've been stripped of your title and your dignity, you still have power. You still have your voice. And if you use it strategically and refuse to give up, you can win. I'm 30 years old now. I make $95,000 a year. I lead a department. I mentor young women starting their careers. I give talks about workplace harassment and the importance of documentation. My story made national news and sparked conversations about corporate accountability and power dynamics. And yeah, sometimes I walk past the executive bathroom and remember what it felt like to clean toilets while my harasser sat in an office down the hall. But mostly I just feel grateful. Grateful I documented everything. Grateful I didn't quit. Grateful I found those other women and we fought together. Grateful that justice, slow and imperfect as it was, eventually arrived. The view from my office is spectacular. I can see Elliott Bay and the Olympic Mountains. I've got a team that respects me and a company that's genuinely trying to do better. And when I hear about another woman dealing with harassment, another woman afraid to report, another woman wondering if fighting back is worth it, I tell her my story. I tell her about the envelope and the evidence and the 3 months I spent scrubbing toilets. And I tell her that dignity isn't about what job you're doing. It's about refusing to let anyone take your power away. Even when they try their hardest, even when it seems impossible, you can still win. And sometimes winning looks like watching your former boss get escorted out in handcuffs while you get promoted to his job. That's not revenge. That's justice. And it tastes pretty damn good.